A single tablet. Just one tablet. The one your classmate said was Xanax. The one you bought through the internet for $5. The one you took at a party because you were feeling anxious. One tablet that you believed was an approved medication, prescribed by millions of doctors around the world. One tablet that was supposed to calm your nerves. Instead, it stopped your heart. Before you could call for help, you were gone. Just one counterfeit Xanax pill. And now your mother is burying you. This is the danger of counterfeit pills. The billion-dollar underground business of pharmaceutical counterfeiting that is killing adolescents and young adults every single day. Pills that look legitimate, that have the correct markings, that you can purchase through social media platforms, that are being sold as prescription medications when they actually contain fentanyl, a synthetic opioid 50 times more powerful than heroin, or toxic alcohol, or levamisol, a poison that destroys your immune system, or a random mixture of chemical substances that nobody can even identify. The counterfeit pill epidemic is here. It is growing, and it is killing people who believe they are taking a safe and legitimate medication. It all started in what seemed like an innocent way, or at least that is how it appeared. Anxiety disorders, panic attacks, insomnia. These are legitimate mental health conditions that affect millions of people globally. For many individuals, benzodiazepines such as Xanax, Rivotril, and Valium provided a solution. Medications prescribed by licensed physicians, approved by regulatory agencies, considered safe when used as directed. But benzodiazepines had another reputation on the streets. Party drugs, pills to get high, medications that you could combine with alcohol for an even greater rush, medications that could be sold for cash in neighborhoods. It began with legitimate prescriptions being diverted, people who had prescriptions selling their extra pills, teenagers stealing pills from their parents' medicine cabinets, patients with opioid addiction using benzodiazepines to intensify the euphoria. But then the market exploded exponentially. Demand skyrocketed. Legitimate supplies of prescription pills could not keep up. So the underground manufacturers appeared, the traffickers, the social media operators, and they began producing counterfeit pills that appeared to be legitimate. Initially, they replicated authentic tablets. They created molds that duplicated the logos of pharmaceutical companies. They used printing equipment to imprint brand names onto white pills. They developed the ability to copy medications so perfectly that it was impossible to tell the difference just by looking. Then, they filled these tablets with whatever was cheapest and most potent in the illicit drug marketplace. Fentanyl, synthetic opioids, amphetamines, levamisol, even powdered glass and lead. Anything that could produce a quick high. Anything that was highly addictive. Anything that could cause death from overdose. The risk is that the user believes they are consuming Xanax. They dose as if it were Xanax. They take one pill expecting a familiar and predictable experience. Instead, they consume an unknown quantity of fentanyl, a drug so potent that micrograms literally determine the difference between a high and instant death. The manufacturers of counterfeit pills are operating on an industrial scale. They are not hobbyists. They are sophisticated criminal enterprises with high-speed tablet presses, industrial chemical supplies, and worldwide distribution networks. They operate factories in Mexican cities like Culiacán, where dozens of clandestine operations produce millions of counterfeit pills every single month. They have fentanyl supplies coming directly from China. They have logistics systems to ship pills to every corner of the globe. Everything is coordinated through encrypted messaging applications and cryptocurrency. The scope of the business is astronomical. In the United States alone, estimates suggest that hundreds of millions of counterfeit pills are in circulation. Some specialists believe that 1 in every 10 prescription pills sold on the streets is actually counterfeit. Other estimates are even more alarming. Up to 40% of the Xanax pills available on the black market could be counterfeit. The profits are extraordinary. A counterfeit Xanax pill costs less than 1 penny to manufacture. It is sold for $5 to $10 on the streets. A legitimate Xanax pill obtained through a pharmacy costs $20. But on the black market, a counterfeit pill can sell for $30, because the buyer believes it is a genuine pharmaceutical product. For those distributing these pills, the financial gain is obscene. A single tablet press can produce 10,000 pills every hour. A single factory can operate 24 hours per day. That produces 240,000 pills daily. If each pill generates $5 in profit, that equals $1,200,000 in daily revenue. From just one factory. There are hundreds of them operating. The marketplace is truly global. Counterfeit pills are being sold on the internet, through messaging apps, via direct delivery services, across social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. The traffickers impersonate physicians. They pose as legitimate pharmacies. They pretend to be authorized suppliers. A person can send a message to what appears to be a legitimate contact, request Xanax, and receive a package of counterfeit pills within 24 hours. The COVID pandemic accelerated everything dramatically. When mental health clinics shut down, when obtaining prescriptions became more difficult, when user anxiety reached record levels, the demand for prescription medications exploded, and the underground suppliers multiplied to meet that escalating demand. The deaths started accumulating. Young people, adolescents, individuals who believed they were taking legitimate prescribed medications. In one documented case, a 16-year-old boy purchased what he thought was Xanax through a messaging application. He consumed one pill at a party. He was found unresponsive within 30 minutes and died from respiratory failure caused by fentanyl poisoning. His mother discovered him unconscious in his bedroom. No amount of naloxone could reverse the overdose. In another case, a 28-year-old man bought what he believed was Rivotril. He had experience with benzodiazepines. He understood his tolerance levels. He knew the appropriate dosage. He took what he calculated would be a safe dose. That single tablet contained 10 milligrams of fentanyl, more than 150 times the amount that would kill most people. He died in his clothing that night, alone in his apartment. A 24-year-old woman purchased counterfeit Adderall because she thought it would help her attention deficit disorder. The tablet contained fentanyl combined with levamisol. She experienced a seizure at her workplace. She entered a coma. She remained in a coma for 2 weeks before dying. Her family still does not fully understand exactly what substance she ingested. These are not isolated incidents. These cases are occurring with alarming frequency. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration has started testing counterfeit pills seized during law enforcement operations. Their findings have been deeply concerning. 20% of the counterfeit Xanax pills tested contained fentanyl. 21% of counterfeit Adderall contained fentanyl. 17% of counterfeit OxyContin contained fentanyl. Some pills contain multiple synthetic opioids. Some contain stimulants and depressants together, an extremely dangerous combination. Some contain substances so toxic that chemists cannot even identify them. Levamisol deserves particular attention. It was originally a deworming medication used in veterinary medicine. It is also a chemical warfare agent. It has been added to cocaine and other drugs to increase potency. But when ingested, it destroys white blood cells. It severely compromises immune function. It causes fever. It causes joint pain. And in extreme cases, it causes gangrene of the extremities. People who consume counterfeit pills containing levamisol can develop serious infections months afterward. They can lose fingers. They can die from infections that a normal immune system would have fought off easily. Some counterfeit pills contain lead. Others contain pulverized glass. Still others contain cough syrup to add bulk. Still others contain cocoa powder to achieve the correct color. The manufacturers maintain zero quality control. Every batch is an unknown variable. Every pill is a gamble with your life. Identification is nearly impossible for the average person. The counterfeit pills are virtually indistinguishable from legitimate medications. They have identical dimensions, the same coloring, the same logos. Sometimes they even have matching batch numbers. You can weigh them, measure them, and they appear identical to a genuine pill. The only definitive way to know is through professional chemical analysis. But most people never perform that test. There are home testing kits available, such as Marquis testing or Mandolin reagent testing. These can detect fentanyl and certain other substances. But they are not completely reliable. And most people are unaware these kits even exist. Or they are frightened to use them because it means admitting they are considering ingesting a pill of questionable origin. There are some warning indicators. Pills that are unusually light or heavy. Pills that disintegrate easily or do not disintegrate at all. Pills that emit an unusual odor. Pills that leave different residue on your hands. But none of these indicators are completely dependable. The manufacturers are becoming increasingly skilled at replicating everything. Social pressure is also a significant factor. An adolescent at a party is offered a pill that supposedly is Xanax. Their friends are consuming it. They want to feel better. They want to belong. They ask for just one pill to settle their nerves. They do not want to offend their friend by questioning its authenticity. They do not want to appear paranoid. They take the pill, and within 30 minutes, they are unconscious. Within an hour, they are dead. Parents do not see this coming. They do not realize their teenagers are purchasing medications through social media. They do not comprehend that a safe dose of Xanax could be anything when the pill is counterfeit. They believe their teenagers are consuming medications prescribed by a doctor, when in reality, they are ingesting pure fentanyl in pill form. Law enforcement is struggling to trace the origin of these counterfeit pills. Most are manufactured in Mexico, but the fentanyl originates from China. The printing machines come from legitimate suppliers in Asia. The chemical precursors are obtained through international chemical companies. Distribution occurs through decentralized networks that utilize cryptocurrency for payment. It is a highly organized criminal operation that functions across multiple national borders. Federal investigators have tracked some of these networks. In recent years, agents from the Department of Homeland Security and the DEA conducted operations in Mexican cities where counterfeit pills were being produced. They discovered factories containing industrial equipment. They discovered fentanyl powder supplies. They discovered printing equipment and tablet presses. They destroyed massive quantities of counterfeit pills. But for every factory that gets shut down, 2 more emerge elsewhere. The profits are so astronomical that the number of law enforcement operations becomes irrelevant. The manufacturers simply rebuild in a different location. The traffickers simply discover an alternative distribution route. China has been reluctant to assist. Fentanyl is technically legal in China when sold for industrial or pharmaceutical purposes. It is nearly impossible to determine which fentanyl is being shipped for legitimate medication manufacturing and which is being diverted to the black market. American investigators have requested that the Chinese government impose stricter restrictions, but the response has been disappointingly slow. The internet makes everything possible. A teenager can simply type Xanax for sale into a search engine and discover dozens of websites and social media accounts offering pills. Some of these websites appear extremely professional. They have polished logos. They feature positive customer testimonials. They provide email addresses that seem legitimate. They even offer complimentary consultations with a pharmacist prior to purchase. It is all theater. It is all deception. A recent journalistic investigation revealed that multiple online pharmacists selling counterfeit pills did not actually exist. Their customer testimonials were generated by artificial intelligence. Their photographs were deepfakes. Their names were fictional. But to a young person seeking to purchase medications, everything appeared perfectly legitimate. The term counterfeit pill itself is becoming outdated, because these are not genuine pills that have been copied. These are completely new pills, manufactured from the beginning, containing different substances, produced using professional equipment. Some experts refer to them as deception pills. Pills specifically engineered to appear legitimate while containing entirely different substances. And the manufacturers are becoming increasingly creative. They are producing pills that appear to be brands that do not exist, or that stopped being manufactured years ago, to avoid being identified as counterfeits. They are creating unusual shapes and sizes of pills that users have never encountered before. They are even manufacturing capsules that appear to be expired medications from the 1990s, betting that nobody remembers exactly what they should look like. Specific cases demonstrate how sophisticated this enterprise has become. In recent years, the DEA discovered a shipment of counterfeit Xanax pills that had been manufactured so meticulously that even Pfizer, the company that manufactures genuine Xanax, could not determine they were fake. They possessed identical inactive ingredients. They exhibited the same hardness when pressed. They matched the correct size and weight. The only difference was that the active ingredient was fentanyl instead of alprazolam. The impact on communities is absolutely devastating. Entire families are being destroyed. Parents are losing children. Friends are losing friends. And in countless instances, the parents do not even realize their children were consuming anything. They assume it was a random accident, an overdose from an unknown substance. They do not comprehend it was a pill that appeared completely legitimate. Toxicology tests following death often arrive weeks or months later. Sometimes, when the results finally return, parents learn for the very first time what their children actually ingested. And it is devastating to discover it was a counterfeit pill of a medication their child believed was safe. Communities are beginning to respond. Certain states are implementing educational programs about counterfeit pills in schools. Some are distributing naloxone at no cost to anyone at risk of overdose. Some are conducting community drug testing at festivals and events to identify dangerous substances. But these responses are arriving slowly and inconsistently. The pharmaceutical industry is developing new safety measures to help identify counterfeit pills. They are incorporating security elements into packaging. They are creating holograms and special markings that are difficult to replicate. They are developing scanning applications that verify special codes on pills. But these measures require years to implement and can still be circumvented by resourceful manufacturers. One promising approach is reagent testing. Testing kits that allow users to verify pill composition before ingestion. Countries including Portugal and the Netherlands offer no-cost drug testing at music festivals. Users can bring drug samples for professional chemical analysis without fear of legal consequences. The rationale is to reduce risk without condemning the user. But in the United States, drug testing is frequently perceived as enabling drug abuse. Federal agencies are reluctant to support programs that help users verify the purity of their drugs because they worry about appearing to condone drug consumption. The reality is that as long as counterfeit pills remain in production and circulation, people will ingest them. The only question is whether they will have access to tools to reduce that risk, or whether they will be kept in darkness about what they are actually consuming. Whether they will receive honest information, or whether ideology and fear will prevail. The danger extends beyond fentanyl alone. Certain counterfeit pills have been discovered to contain carfentanil, a synthetic opioid 100 times more potent than fentanyl. Some contain counterfeit naloxone, a medication that should reverse an overdose, but actually does nothing. Some contain cough syrup of questionable composition. The black market for counterfeit pills is essentially an unconsented experiment with unknown chemical substances. Adolescents face particularly elevated risk. Recent research discovered that 23% of adolescents in a study believed the Xanax pills they purchased online were legitimate. None of them had actually tested the pills. None of them possessed valid prescriptions. They simply assumed that purchasing online meant it was safe and legal. Parents are experiencing desperation. They are attempting to monitor their children's mobile phones. They are educating their children about the dangers. They are trying to keep their children away from drugs. But it is a losing battle when counterfeit pills can be delivered to your child within 24 hours and appear to be legitimately prescribed medications. The story of Marcus illustrates this peril. Marcus was a 17-year-old boy from a suburban town. He maintained good grades. He had friends. He was contemplating college applications. But he struggled with anxiety. Like many adolescents, he grappled with worries about his future, about how others perceived him, about mental health challenges his parents did not fully comprehend. One of his friends suggested he experiment with Xanax. That friend said it helped him. Marcus searched the internet and found a seller on Instagram offering Pharma Xanax for $30 per pill. He sent a message. Within 24 hours, an envelope arrived by mail. Inside were 10 blue pills that looked exactly like generic Xanax. Marcus took one pill on a Saturday evening before a party. He expected to feel somewhat more relaxed. Instead, 30 minutes later, his friends observed he was breathing abnormally. 20 minutes later, he collapsed. His friends called an ambulance immediately. He was transported to the hospital. The doctors discovered he had overdosed on fentanyl. The quantity in a single pill was sufficient to kill 3 people of his body weight. He was placed on mechanical ventilation. Naloxone was administered. After 3 hours, his breathing resumed. He regained consciousness. And he was fortunate. Many individuals never wake up. Marcus spent 2 weeks hospitalized. He developed aspiration pneumonia from nearly dying. He experienced nightmares. He developed depression. His life was permanently altered. And all because he purchased what he thought was Xanax from an online seller who appeared legitimate. The seller was identified and arrested. But he was merely a minor reseller within a much larger network. The pill manufacturer is probably in Mexico. The fentanyl supplier is probably in China. The distribution network traverses multiple countries. Arresting one seller does nothing to change anything. The counterfeit pills continue arriving. The story of Maria is even more tragic. Maria was a 22-year-old woman who had panic disorder. She possessed a legitimate prescription for Xanax from a psychiatrist. But her health insurance would not cover it. The medication cost $300 monthly. She did not have that much money. So she began purchasing counterfeit pills online because they were significantly cheaper. She was conscious of the risk. She even tested her pills using a marquee testing kit she purchased online. The test indicated the presence of benzodiazepines in the pill. She did not realize the test was unreliable, that the kit had been contaminated with a substance producing a false positive result, that her pill was actually predominantly fentanyl. Maria took her safe pill on a Sunday evening. She went to sleep. Her roommate awoke early Monday morning and discovered her unresponsive. She had experienced respiratory failure during the night. She was pronounced dead at the hospital within 1 hour. The cause was documented as opioid overdose. The specific cause was a counterfeit Xanax pill containing fentanyl that she purchased because she could not afford legitimate medications. These situations are multiplying. During the past 5 years, the Food and Drug Administration has received an escalating number of reports of counterfeit pills. In 2022, there were estimated 100,000 cases of counterfeit pills in distribution. In 2023, that number had tripled. In 2024, it had quadrupled again. The majority of cases go unreported. Most individuals who ingest a counterfeit pill unknowingly never tell anyone because they fear legal ramifications. Most people who experience an overdose will not report to law enforcement because they do not want their friend who sold the pill to face incarceration. Therefore, the official numbers significantly underestimate the true scope of the problem. Some experts believe there are 10 times more counterfeit pill cases than officially reported. If accurate, then hundreds of thousands of individuals are ingesting them every month without knowing. The future will become even darker unless something changes fundamentally. Technology is advancing rapidly. Soon, manufacturers will utilize three-dimensional printers to manufacture customized pills that will appear even more authentic. They will employ artificial intelligence to optimize their pill composition for maximum profit, while keeping the user alive long enough to purchase more. They will create pills that release the drug gradually over time to prevent obvious immediate overdose. The only genuine solution is massive educational campaigns and access to legitimate prescribed medications. Adolescents need to understand that pills obtained online are frequently counterfeit. Parents need to have frank conversations with their children about drugs and mental health. Doctors need to prescribe medications without allowing stigma and fear to drive desperate patients toward the black market. And authorities need to attack the problem at its source. They need to cooperate with China to decrease the fentanyl supply. They need to work with Mexico to destroy clandestine pill factories. They need to invest in drug education in educational institutions. They need to provide naloxone free of charge to anyone at risk. But most fundamentally, they need to acknowledge that counterfeit pills will not disappear. As long as there is demand for prescription medications, there will be supply of counterfeit pills. The question is not how to eliminate counterfeit pills. The question is how to minimize the harm they cause. And minimizing harm requires being truthful with people about what is actually happening. It requires telling adolescents that a pill you purchase online is probably counterfeit. It requires telling parents that their teenagers could be at risk. It requires telling authorities that imprisoning sellers is ineffective. It requires acknowledging that counterfeit pills are here to remain, and that the only answer is preparing individuals to handle them responsibly. 1 tablet. Just 1 tablet. The pill your friend said was Xanax. The pill you purchased because you could not afford legitimate medication. The pill you took because you were anxious. 1 tablet that should have been safe. 1 tablet that should have been controlled. 1 tablet that should have been what it claimed to be. But it was not. It was pure fentanyl in tablet form. And now you are gone. Your parents are speaking with the medical examiner. Your funeral is being arranged. Your bedroom is filled with flowers. And somewhere in Mexico, someone is manufacturing 10,000 more counterfeit pills. Because the counterfeit pill epidemic will not stop until we have fundamentally transformed how we approach drugs, medications, healthcare access, and honesty instead of ideology and fear. This is the danger of counterfeit pills. And it is only the beginning.